Welcome back to Emily A to Z. I'm Emily, and today's letter is B for vacation. Because even though this is my May reading wrap up, by the time you actually see this, I will be finishing up my June vacation. I get to go on 2 vacations this summer. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very, very grateful. But this first one is one that my husband's company is putting us on, and I'm very excited for us. We are going on an Alaskan cruise. I am pumped. So yes, by the time you see this, I will be like finishing that trip up though. But I just wanted to have something for you, and don't worry, I'm going to have so many photos and videos from this cruise. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to talk about it when I get back. We've known since January. I am just very, very excited. Sorry for this. It is in the afternoon when I am filming this, and this is the light we are working with. But here we go. This is my May reading wrap up. I read a total of 7 books in the month of May, and funny enough, I only have 3 of them in front of me to hold up. The rest of them are gonna have to go ba-dum-bum. I love that I pushed this out of the way originally when I sat down thinking, you won't see my laundry. That's my clean laundry that I still need to fold and put away, versus this is my suitcase that is packed. I am packed and loaded and ready to rumble. My husband is not. The most he has done is a load of laundry and pulled his suitcase out. I have been packed since this weekend. This is arbitrary for you. It is a Monday. I have been fully packed since Saturday. Anyways, let's jump in. So the first book that, and of course I have my spreadsheet over here. That's what I'm looking at. No worries. The first book that I finished in May. I actually started it in April, but I didn't finish it until May, so I only count it as May. That's how I count my reading, what month I put a book in is what month did I finish it in. And I finished this book in May. It is Time Will Tell by Barry Lyga. This is a YA mystery thriller. We are following a group of 4 friends, and they dig up a time capsule that their parents buried when they were in high school in the 70s, 80s, whatever. Their parents were in high school, they buried a time capsule. Now we're in the present, and these kids are digging up the time capsule. When they dig up the time capsule, not only do they find the stuff that their parents put in, but they also find a bloody knife with a note that says, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." And this prompts them to be like, what the heck happened? They assume that it's human blood, that somebody got murdered. One of the characters' uncle has been missing since that time and has just like disappeared off the face of the earth kind of thing. So then there's just this big kerfuffle of like, was my uncle actually murdered, or was he the murderer and he ran off? I don't know if I can actually say the M word, but I'm not monetized, so whatever. But so it's told in dual timelines between the present day when the kids are investigating on their own versus back, and then it flashed back to when their parents were kids. I did not like this book. I ended up giving it a 1.5. I just despised it. The only reason I finished it is because I had to listen to it for my job. So for those of you that don't know, if you are new, I work at a library. I am a library worker. I work in the back. I do not deal with the public. I deal with the materials. I handle our collection. And part of our job is when an item is sent in and needs to be repaired, we do some book mending. If it is a disc like a DVD or an audiobook on CD, we have disc cleaners, we clean the discs, but in order to make sure that it is still functioning and that the problem has been resolved, we then have to either watch the DVD, or if it's an audiobook, listen to the audiobook. I am the one that does the audiobook. We kind of divvy them out. We have a TV and a DVD player set up that my coworker is in charge of running the films and stuff. I listen to the audiobooks. because I typically don't mind. It's whatever. And generally, it's usually like there's a problem disc, right? It's like of this set, there's a problem disc. You just have to listen to that one disc. I'm really good at like tuning that out and just noticing if like it starts to skip, or if it's the sound is wrong, or if it doesn't play at all. That's really what I'm just doing quality control. In this case, the patron sent it back to us saying that every single disc was a problem, meaning I had to listen to every single disc. So I counted it because I read a book against my will, but I read a book. I would never have picked this up on my own. The premise is interesting, of course, but it was just not well done. It is set like post-COVID, present modern day kind of thing. And honestly, it was just kind of boring. I liked the dual timeline aspect, but the problem was that it was not executed well. So we would be in the present with the kids. They're angsty. One of them's in love with another. Well, two of them are in love with each other, but they won't say anything about it. So they just pine for each other, and it's ridiculous. And then we go to the past, and then we're dealing with the same kind of things where we've got these angsty characters that are pining for each other, and my life is so awful and horrible, but they don't do anything about it. They don't talk to anyone about it. They don't have any, it's like, here's the problem. You know what the problem is, and you know what the solution is, and they downright refuse to do it. And that's what bothered me. There are certain points where the characters are straight up like, we should go to the police. And they're like, no. Why? What is the point of that? Why? I just think it was really, really convoluted. It did not need to be as long as it was. It's like a 16-hour audiobook. It did not need to be 16 hours long. It was so much. And ultimately, they used a gay trope in a way that I absolutely despise. There's two that I really don't like, and there's the like they were straight for someone, or they're only gay because they haven't met the right person, right? I hate that trope. I hate that idea. That is such a horrible concept. And this one, they used the like, it has to be a secret, I can't come out, which that's very real. That's not the problem. But it was, they blamed something they did on not being able to come out, and villainized the gay person and used their gayness as like part of the crime. And that's bullshit, okay? Gay people are already villainized as is just for being gay. And then you throw in that essentially a person who is gay committed a crime out of fear of being outed and did something horrible because they were afraid they were going to be outed, which, yes, that is awful. Do not out someone who is not ready to come out. That is their business. It is not your business. However, using their gayness as the reason for a crime, I'm not okay with this. I don't think I'm explaining it right. But the problem lies that they inherently made the gay the problem. If they weren't gay, this crime wouldn't have happened. And I'm not okay with that. Gay people are not scapegoats for problems. And if you wanted to have a conversation about the fear of being gay, the fear of being discovered, of self-discovery, of not knowing your identity and your orientation, and slowly in a coming of age and then being afraid, that could have been a very well done conversation that is necessary for teens and for gay teens to have. This book did not handle that appropriately, in my opinion, and it really made me angry. So no, don't do that. Also, trigger warnings for, should you be interested, assault of a teen, kidnapping blood, minor sexual content, internalized homophobia, murder, racism, internalized racism, those kinds of things. This book was not for me. I'm going to pause and see if I can fix this because I'm like going to blind myself. much better. Hopefully you can still see me, but now I don't feel like I've got these weird stripes / I can't see the camera. Do you like my shirt? It says Find Your Voice. This was part of our summer reading program theme from last summer. I love it so much. Okay, it's summer reading. If you are not part of summer reading, go to your local library and join a summer reading program for free. This is my plug as your library worker, since I've already mentioned being a library worker. Summer reading programs are for free. They usually always are, and they're full of fun activities and ideas for you to get outside, to do a craft, to enjoy books, and to have fun doing it. And typically you get a chance to earn some sort of prize, and you just have fun and you read books. That's my plug. Go do library stuff. Moving on. Book number 2 that I read in the month of May was The Cruel Prince. So I was supposed to have finished this in April. I did not finish it in April. I have no shame in admitting this now because it's past the fact. I finished this at the very beginning of May. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is book 1 in the Folk of the Air trilogy. Yes, I have it right there. And we are following Jude and Taryn Duarte, or Duarte. I never know how to actually say it. They are twins who, when they were 7, their parents were, and they were whisked away to the land of fairy, and they were raised as a child, as a noble child by Madoc, who is the High King's general. And it is their story. It's now been like 10 years. They are 17 years old and they are up to no good, basically. No. The whole thing is they have been raised in the High Court of Fairy, and Jude and Taryn, even though they are twins, couldn't be more different, right? Jude is, they both want to belong, but they want to belong in different ways. It's like Taryn just wants to fit in. She wants to find love. She wants to be accepted for her charm and her beauty, versus Jude is willing to fight for it. She wants to prove herself by her skill, and she wants to be a knight. Her whole thing is that she wants to put herself forth at the summer tournament and declare herself ready for knighthood to be considered by one of the king's children. The High King is about to step down, and he is about to crown one of his 6 kids to take the throne after him. And Jude is hoping to present herself as ready to be, sworn into service, and stuff like that. And of course, the Cruel Prince, the most wickedest one, is the youngest son, Prince Cardan. They beef with each other, all of this stuff. Like I said, this was book 1. This is the book that Magical Stitches is reading this month in June. I really enjoyed it. I really like this book. I gave it a 4 upon reread kind of thing. I don't want to go into a lot of it here because it is the Magical Stitches book, and I don't want to give any spoilers to anyone who is participating and hasn't finished it or hasn't read it but wants to read it. But I will give, there is trigger warnings for murder, for violence, for blood, for bullying, for self-harm, poisoning, court intrigue, betrayal, things like that, domestic violence and abuse, high treachery, treason, whatever. There's a lot of stuff that goes in here. Kidnapping, I think I already said. Kidnapping, hostage situation. That's about it. There's a little bit more, I'm sure, but okay. Then I read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I feel like this is a lot of people's gateway to Riley Sager. This was not my first Riley Sager, and I definitely think that impacted my overall rating. In this book, we are following Jules. Jules, who basically gets herself into a too good to be true situation where she becomes an apartment sitter at this famous hotel called the Bartholomew, not hotel, but residential apartment building, but it gives hotel vibes, right? We have a doorman. It's very prestigious. There's only 6 units kind of thing. There's more than that, but it's full of famous, wealthy people. They have an empty room. they put an ad in the paper for it, and she applies and gets this apartment sitting gig. And the only thing is that she has to stay in the apartment every single night. She cannot have anyone over to the apartment ever. And I think that's about it. Like, no pictures, no videos. You can't post anything on like social media about it. You have to be there every night and nobody can come over, kind of thing. Sounds simple, but it definitely is it's like, this is a little too good to be true, because weird stuff starts happening. She starts thinking she's hearing people or she's hearing things. And then there's, of course, this mystery of what happened to the person who lived in this building before her. The tenants, these apartment sitters, don't seem to stay very long, because she's not the only one. There've been some before her, and they've all gone missing. So what's the problem? What's the deal? I'm not going to get into spoilers because I did enjoy it and I would recommend it. Like, check it out, read it. This was like a 3 for me because I've read others, and the only one left, or the last one left, the only one left by Riley Sager, his like newer one, not his newest, because that one has just come out, but his newer one, I think came out last year. I gave that a 5 stars. That was like kind of the Lizzie Borden-esque one. The first Riley Sager I read was The Last Time I Lied, and I think gave that like a 4. If I had started here, I could see myself having given this a higher rating than I did, because it is interesting. It is good. I consumed this in a matter of days, like over like 2 days. I listened to it as an audiobook and consumed it super quickly, just like working on puzzles, just boom, 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 and just sitting at my table for hours working on puzzles, listening to this audiobook. It goes off the rails, because of course it does. I feel like every Riley Sager book at some point, he has upped the ante, right? It goes off the rails. There's always the red herring kind of thing, like the cute neighbor guy that we're not supposed to trust. In like standard Riley Sager, but solid thriller. Check it out if you're interested, or if you have read something else of his and liked it, I would say check it out. It's a solid mid-tier thriller. Beware of, triggers for death, kidnapping, medical procedures, murder, arson, fire, missing persons, stuff like that. Being held hostage or captive. Then we have Lolita, the infamous Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. If you know, you know. I gave this a 2.5. It is not something that I think is an easy topic to read, or it is this infamous like classic novel about pedophilia. And I'm not going to say it more than once because I don't want to get in trouble or have this like restricted, but we are following a grown man, Herbert Humphrey. He is in prison. I did not know this. I only knew the general premise, right, of what I've said. But we are following this man who is in prison for an unknown crime, but we assume we know why he's in prison. And he's essentially writing like his memoir of what led him to this point. And he talks about himself and his life and how he met a little girl named Dolores that he nicknames Lolita, and connives his way into becoming her stepfather. And then when her mother tragically passes in a horrible accident, he rigs up a way to keep her in his possession so that he may have her. And yes, that does happen in the book. And it is told in this first person narrative. You are in this man's head as he talks about his thoughts, and he knows that they're not acceptable. He knows that there's something wrong with him, that he is despicable, and yet he just can't help himself because she was a nymphette. She was a nymph, and she knew what she was doing. And that's rough. It is a hard book. It is a hard book to read. I understand why it is like considered a classic and why it is still in like our lexicon and why it is still talked about. and how it has persisted through the years, but it is not an easy book at all. So I definitely say do not read this book if you at all cannot handle any sort of those subjects, like grooming, CSA, death, that one word, and violence against children, shooty death, kidnapping, hostage, holding a child hostage, like all sorts of these things, financial manipulation. It's a lot. It is a lot. And it is hard as well because they want you to sympathize. It is written in such a way that you're supposed to like almost sympathize with him because he just, if only you knew what it was like. And no, I don't sympathize with this man at all. Absolutely not. I'd never read it before. And then there was the nonfiction pick for one of my book clubs of like the real Lolita, about the real life child that like experienced this. And I was like, I feel like I should read the novel first to then understand the context for this nonfiction. And I still want to read that nonfiction. I read that one, and it's also a long audiobook, but it's a lot. It is rough. So absolutely please don't and I said this in my last one, do not read material or consume media or literature that is going to harm you in any way, shape, or form. Only you know what is going to trigger you or hurt you or harm you in any way. Do not proceed unless you know what you are capable of. I am a full supporter of trigger warnings. I do not think they are spoilers. I think they are helpful tools for people who could find themselves in distress because of topics covered in books. Read with care, treat yourself kindly. Then we're moving forward. I have 3 more books. The next book that I read was A House of Ghosts by W.C. Ryan. This was actually great. I gave this a 4. I really enjoyed this book. We are following a cast of characters. This is set in the 1920s. Nope. 1917, almost the 1920s. 1917, and we are following Donovan, who is a spy for the British military, and his newest recruit, Miss Kate. She has just been recruited into this like spy network. They are both sent to Blackwater Island because some like military plans, like top secret military plans for like planes and bomber stuff for during this time for the World War have been like leaked, and they think it has originated from this place because the person who owns the company, like the armaments factory and the armaments company who designed these plans, like this is his house and he's having like a party, and they want them to go and see if they can figure out where the leak is coming from. Kate has connections to the family. She used to be engaged to the owner guy's son. And so she has been invited to this party. So she's supposed to go as a guest with her quote unquote fiance, who she's not actually engaged to anymore. And Donovan is supposed to go as her fiance's like manservant, and they're scoping the place out. It's also at the height of like spiritualism. And of course, the guy who runs the armament family, he had 2 sons that both went off to the war. Kate had a brother who went off to the war, and they basically were told that all 3 of them have died. And the owners of the house, I feel like I'm explaining this horribly. The owners of the house, and of course her family, want to like contact their spirits, and things just go off the rails. There's mediums involved, and they're doing like spiritualism, and they're trying to have like a seance to contact the dead, and things just get wacky and weird. And so we have this paranormal ghost story / espionage thriller, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a closed-roomed mystery. People, weird stuff starts happening. Like I said, not only do we have like the ghosts and stuff, but then the wife of like the big guy, the wife of the owner of the house, she gets attacked and is knocked unconscious, and then the doctor who is attending her gets murdered, and then they can't figure out what's going on, and but it's really, really cool. I really did like it. I did not predict the who of like what was behind it, so I enjoyed it. I liked it. Like, it wasn't outstanding. It's not a 4.5. It's not a 5, but it was a decent 4. So it was a good mystery novel. Last two, I also read in the month of May. At the very end of the month of May, I just had I was like, people are not reading The Cruel Prince this month. That was the month of May, was Cruel Prince. May was The Cruel Prince. June, for the month of June, is The Lost Sisters by Holly Black, which is a novella and is considered book 1.5 in the Folk of the Air trilogy. And it follows the events of book 1 of The Cruel Prince, and is essentially a very short novella told from Taryn's point of view, where Taryn is talking directly to you, to us, the reader. And she is trying to explain her side of a couple things that happened in the book. Why she did some of the things she did, or the background, the history, the context leading up to some of these conflicts that we saw in The Cruel Prince. It's very short. It's only like 50 pages. Like I've said in like the group and stuff, it is not worth, it's a couple bucks to like buy it. Don't spend the couple bucks to buy it. I don't think it's necessary. It really does not add to the trilogy in any way. Like, you're not going to lose anything by not reading it. You're not going to be missing anything if you can find it. My library had a copy of it as a digital ebook. You can also get it as an audiobook. I've seen libraries that had copies of it either way. So if you can borrow it, do that. If you can't, don't buy it. You don't need to spend the money for 50 pages. Like, it's not that deep. Was it cool? Sure. Did it provide some background context for things? Yeah. Did I think it really like answered any questions or wrapped up any loose ends? No. And at the end of the day, it's not integral to the overarching story. But it was a fun little read for those of us interested in it. I gave it a 3. And then the last book that I read in May was Gallows Hill, finally, by Darcy Coates. I finally got my hands on a copy of this, meaning to say an audiobook copy of this book. I have had the physical copy checked out multiple times, and I never sat down to read it. I don't know what it was about that book, but like sitting down to read that book, I just could never make myself do it. I put a hold on for the audiobook months ago, and it took until now to get a copy. I got the copy, checked it out, and listened to it over a couple of days, and I did really enjoy it. I gave this a solid 4. It is a horror, gothic, paranormal story. We are following our main character whose parents gave her up when she was 8. They have now passed, and she has had to come home to Gallows Hill, where they owned a winery. And she has been left the winery and the house and the land and everything like that, and she has to come back. But things, of course, are not as they seem. Her parents died this horribly mysterious way that looked awful. Like their bodies were left in this horrible position. And then, of course, right within, things aren't right in the house. She feels like she's not alone. She feels like there are things watching her. There are weird locks. She goes to her childhood bedroom, and there are locks on the inside of her doors versus on like the outside. There's like a ringing, like old school, like servant bell, like pulley system, but it's like reverse, where the bells ring in like the master bedroom as if they were being called for attention, kind of thing. And it gets weird, right? She thinks she's seeing things that aren't there. She's imagining things. She's warned to like stay inside after dark. And then she gets up and just like strange stuff is happening around the property. And I will say, this book successfully freaked me out. And that is, I make a point to say that because it is not very often that I read a horror that truly scares me. I consume a lot of horror because I like the paranormal aspects. I like the ooky spooky kind of things. I love vampire novels and werewolves. I love creature novels. I love ghost novels. I like hauntings and stuff like that. I like horror a lot. Do I find them predictable? Absolutely, 100%. But I do really like them. That being said, I don't necessarily get scared by them that often. There were a few moments in this book, and I'm sure it was a combination of the writing itself, which I did really enjoy, and the narrator did an amazing job bringing the characters to life. She really put her oomph into it. You know, if the character was whispering, she was whispering. And when the character was upset, like she was upset, and like the emotion really came through. And I love that. It keeps me engaged, right? And then I'm invested in this story. It's not a spoiler, but the character went up into the attic to try and, she was like, oh, there's like a leak in the ceiling. I'm going to go up into the attic and see if like I can figure out where there's a hole or whatever. And there is this whole scene of her just finding like wetness. And like, that's it. All it is that she goes upstairs, she finds that the ceiling boards in the attic are wet somehow. Does not make sense. There's no like possible way that this could happen. The boards are wet with this dark red substance that could possibly be wine, could possibly be a bodily fluid. And all that happens is that like a couple spiders like crawl up out of the wood. And just the way she wrote and the way this author described like the spiders like coming up out of the boards and being like stained this like deep blood red as from being in the boards was so goddamn creepy. It was the middle of the morning, bright day, I'm at work, and I was like, oh nope. I was so unsettled at like 10 a.m. in the morning because of the way all she wrote was like a bug crawling. Ugh. There's also something that happens, that same scene, something else happened later on, and then the chapter ends on like a cliffhanger that also I was like, oh no, no, I am outie. No, thank you. I did enjoy that a lot. I liked that a lot. I liked the pace. I thought I know she's really prolific. She's written a lot. This is the first of her work I've ever read, but I liked the way she built suspense and then maintained suspense. I did really like that. I liked this a lot. It's like a 4.5 for me. I don't think I would give it a full 5. There was just a couple things. Were there a couple things? I don't know. Maybe it is. 4.5. Let's take a 4.5. I don't know. I really, really liked it. I can't sit here and rave that it's the best horror book I've ever read, which I think is what's kind of holding me back. But I did really like it. And I think it's kind of a good way into kind of some paranormal horror. And if you are interested in that, this would be a good way. And if you are, or maybe like me, you've read a lot and maybe you're feeling a little like, you know, numb to the genre, give it a shot. Like, it got under my skin. It definitely creeps me out. So maybe it will for you too. And with that, that's all I've read. in the month of May. Now, excuse me, because I have to go read, because I have books that are due back to the library that are overdue, and some that I would like to finish before I go on vacation in another couple days. So I'm going to go do that now. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Happy watching, happy reading, happy listening, happy stitching, happy doing whatever it is that makes you happy doing. I will see you all very, very soon. In the meantime, be easy with your hearts.